Bison graced your village was the most important day of your life. But for me, it was Tuesday.
The main villain of the Street Fighter series, Bison, leader of the Shadaloo terrorist organization, is a psychotic mastermind with plans of world domination and human control. In today's episode, insights about Bison's concept and design from his creators at Capcom, and some revealing facts you might not know about the tyrannical dictator himself, the origins of Bison. Welcome to the Street Fighterverse. Bison was designed by Akira Akiman Yasuda and Yuko Ikusan Nakayama. Both were very influential in the early stages of the Street Fighter game's development. Bison's concept and design were based on Washisaki, in which translated means Eagle Cape, a villain from the manga and anime Rikyo, created by Masahiko Takajo and Setsuya Saruwatari. Washisaki is one of the main antagonists in the series. He shares the same world domination vision as Bison. Another inspiration for Bison's creation is based on Yasunori Keto, the main antagonist of the Japanese film Tokyo, The Last Megapolis, which is also known as Teito Monogatari. Yasunori Keto is an evil sorcerer wielding the power of several long-dead mystics who wants to destroy Tokyo and cripple the Japanese Empire in order to fulfill a 2,000-year-old curse. Both Bison and Yasunori Keto look very similar and have supernatural abilities, which they use for evil. Bison's clothing consists of a red military uniform, with large shoulder plates, wristbands, and shin guards. The shin guards in Bison's uniform are based on the style of the Universal Wrestling Federation of Japan, used in the mid-1980s. On his peaked service cap, there is a skull insignia of his crime syndicate, known as the Shadaloo. Originally called Shadow Law, the Shadaloo is a very powerful and deadly criminal organization, managed by Bison and is responsible for dealing biochemical engineering and arms within the Street Fighter universe. As the founder and leader of the Shadaloo, Bison uses as many illegal methods as possible to achieve his destructive and barbaric goals, ranging from drug trafficking to illegal human experimentation. His uniform resembles Japanese and Chinese imperial uniforms, with the color of the uniform being red. His uniform may also have influences on the uniforms worn by the SS officers from the Nazi Germany. The skull on Bison's visor and the first letter of the Shadaloo on his belt is shaped as a single Zig runa. The Zig runa symbolizes victory. It represents the sun. Bison wears a dark-colored cape in the Alpha series, where he appears with his original body. From Street Fighter II on, and in the Capcom vs SNK series, he appears with a much slimmer body and removes his cape before battle. Bison has neatly cut black hair under his peaked cap, which he is almost never seen without. His eyes were originally red, both within and outside the irises, though the irises were still visible. After Street Fighter II Hyper Fighting, they were changed to a complete ghastly white. His eyes will glow pink when his psycho power is glowing. In Street Fighter V, Bison's look has changed. Bison wears a trench coat over his outfit with the cape. His hair has also turned white, with the extensive use of his psycho power. The psycho power is Bison's source of evil, negative and psychotic energy. Psycho power has been described as the dark side of the soul power, a power demonstrated by Rose. The psycho power can be compared to the dark side of the Force in Star Wars, and Rose's soul power to the Force. The psycho power feeds off the fear, anger, and the hatred of others. This energy can also affect the skin, body, color, eyes, and hair of people, as shown in the case of Violent Ken and Bison. There isn't much known about the history of the psycho power and the users before the time of Shadaloo, including how Bison obtained the secrets of soul power's negative aspects, except that it is amplified by negative emotions such as hatred, and that to master it, one must purge all good and light within oneself. It is rumored that in the past, M. Bison's master was the only known person in the world who could manipulate it. It is also said that, before his death at the hands of Bison, he passed the power to only 3 students, Bison himself being one of them. M. Bison has several moves in which he unleashes his Psycho power. Those moves are his Psycho Crusher, Head Press, Psycho Inferno, and Double Knee Press. M. Bison also uses his Psycho power in a variety of weapons which are Psycho Drive. In the Street Fighter Alpha series, Shadaloo had created the Psycho Drive, a weapon that can be used to store Psycho power for brainwashing people at the request of Bison himself. Beelzebub. Beelzebub is a satellite used by Shadaloo that is referred in various supplemental materials. Shadaloo uses Beelzebub to study Pandora. Beelzebub is also known to have orbital laser cannon capabilities, utilizing Psycho power as a power source. Crystal Idol. In Street Fighter II V, the Crystal Idol seems to be energized by Psycho power, and has a telepathic link to Bison's mind, as it can call out to him, allowing him to travel into a self-contained dimension, where every power that has existed beyond space-time is contained. M. Bison is an archetypal villain, motivated by his own self-serving interests and lust for absolute power through world domination. He is a megalomaniacal and psychopathic dictator and terrorist who seeks to rule the world with an iron fist, whilst also being universally regarded as the greatest and most powerful martial artist of all time, and will readily destroy anything or anyone who dares to stand between him and his goals. Possessing a vast ego and god complex, Bison is physically incapable of feeling empathy for others, and even takes pleasure in watching people suffer at his hands, never feeling a shed of regret or remorse for the numerous atrocities that he has committed. In many ways, Bison's characterization is comparable to the clinical diagnosis of a real-life psychopath. Bison's malevolence and sadism are reflected in his iconic smile, a very wide grin that exposes not just all the teeth, but even the gums. One of the most iconic actors that have portrayed M. Bison in movies was actor Raul Julia, famous for his quote in the Street Fighter the movie, "For you, the day Bison graced your village was the most important day of your life. But for me, it was Tuesday." This perfectly cemented the attitude of Bison towards everything, feeling lack of compassion or remorse. Raul Julia perfectly embodied the part of M. Bison. We, the Street Fighter universe, want to give homage to this amazing Puerto Rican actor, Raul Rafael Julia. Thank you for the memories. M. Bison is the villain who is motivated by self-serving interests and the desire to dominate the world at all costs. Megalomaniacal and psychopathic, he seeks to rule the world with an iron fist, while also being universally regarded as one of history's greatest martial artists, with a willingness to destroy anything or anyone who stands in his way. The egotistical Bison has a vast god complex, but is unable to empathize with others. Happy to see others suffer at his hands, and never feels any remorse for the numerous atrocities that he commits against others. The description given by Bison is comparable to that given by a real-life psychopath. His wide grin, one that exposes not just the teeth, but also the gums, is indicative of Bison's malevolent and sadistic disposition. His sense of humor is twisted, and he refers to himself in the third person occasionally, possibly to allay his own feelings of self-importance. His evil is greatly reflected in the look of his eyes. His eyes have no pupils, greatly reflecting the evilness inside of him. You might ask yourself, why Bison has white pupils? Well, it is said that anime characters who don't have pupils are typically evil, prone to trances, or are possessed. Characters who usually have pupils, but lose them temporarily, are usually possessed, unconscious, mentally preoccupied, or dead. The pupils are a simple and universal visual metaphor for a person's state of mind. Almost nothing is known about M. Bison's past prior to his appearances in the mainline games. His country of origin is also unknown. The only known details of his past is that he was at one point nothing more than a young martial artist like any other, but with overwhelming ambitions. He originally wielded soul power and passed down his knowledge onto Rose, who was his only disciple. However, in order to be the best in the world of martial arts, M. Bison murdered his own master before giving in to complete chaos. M. Bison's master was said to be the only known person in the world who could manipulate the evil power known as the psycho power at the time. And it is also said that, before his death, M. Bison's master passed the power to only 3 other students, M. Bison himself being one of them. Another version dictates that after killing his parents at a young age, the young Bison was found and raised by a tribe of nomadic gypsies. The leader of the tribe took Bison under her wing and trained him in the art of soul power, using one's soul as a tool. However, Bison discovered that the soul had 2 sides, one of good and one of evil, and purged all of the goodness from his soul. This created psycho power, an extremely destructive energy, with the good half of his soul manifesting as a woman named Rose. From that day on, Bison quickly built up his criminal empire, culminating in the formation of the evil organization, Shadaloo, a very powerful and deadly criminal organization that is responsible for dealing biochemical drugs and arms. Its base is located in the region of Thailand. Bison's motto is to rule his empire with an iron fist, characteristic of an evil dictator. In his operations, he has used satellites and technology to try and destroy cities across the world. One of those can be attributed to his loyal servant F.A.N.G. and his Operations Change project. The 7 PSA, psycho-power stratospheric aircraft, nicknamed as the Black Moons, are a group of doomsday weapons controlled by Shadaloo. Black Moons are part of Operation Chains, which was planned by Shadaloo to cause chaos in order to increase Bison's psycho power. Each Black Moon requires a control key, shaped like a small piece of chess, to be activated in a control device in the Shadaloo headquarters, which will cause them to detonate and release a powerful electromagnetic pulse, disabling electronics in a wide area. They were set above the United States of America and other important countries from around the world. Other aspects of his evilness is his brainwashing. In Street Fighter II, M. Bison controlled Ken with his psycho power, brainwashing him in the process. After this event, Ken became very violent, which is why this version of Ken is affectionately known as Violent Ken. He was vulnerable to mind control because of Ken's jealousy over Ryu's fighting ability. As the outstanding individual that he is, Bison used this as an opportunity to imbue Ken with psycho power and turn him into a pawn for the Shadaloo. Ken luckily broke free later. Another of Bison's evil endeavors is his repeated attempts in capturing Ryu, with the purpose of using Ryu's body as a host's body, or brainwashing Ryu into becoming a soldier of the Shadaloo. Bison has even gotten on a semi-truck and tried to run over Ryu for the sake of being bluntly evil. One of the worst acts of Bison is the brainwashing and kidnapping of teenage girls, with the purpose of creating an elite group of personal assassins called the Dolls. His brainwashing at one point had such a hold over the dolls that if he were to die, so would they. The tragedy behind Cammy. When Cammy was first introduced into the series, she had a convenient case of amnesia, forgetting her origins. It was later revealed that she had worked alongside M. Bison as part of the Shadaloo dolls as an assassin for Bison. Which brings me to my next point. All the murders Bison endured. One of them is that he killed the parents of Juri Han. Her father, a famous Korean lawyer, had a case against the Shadaloo. Finding their whereabouts, the Shadaloo killed them and almost killed Juri Han, as she survived a bullet through her eye socket. Another one is Bison and the Shadaloo stealing the Thunderfoot tribe lands and killing T-Hawk's father. A third one we can talk about is the killing of Giles' best friend and mentor, Charlie Nash. Charlie had caught up with Bison and been shot by an aircraft multiple times on his back, before falling down a cliff. Last but not least, we can speak about the death of Dorai, Chun-Li's father. As a young girl, Chun-Li's father attempted to protect her from Bison and his evil organization, only to be killed. It is said that the assassin sent to kill Chun-Li's father was Cammy White, while under the spell of Bison. Originally called Shadow Law, the Shadaloo Syndicate is a very powerful crime organization that expands around the world with its operations. It is responsible for dealing with deadly biochemical drugs and arms. They are the present danger for humanity within the realms in the Street Fighter universe. The Shadaloo Terrorist Organization is managed by the evil dictator M. Bison. Bison is an archetypal villain, motivated by his own self-serving interests and lust for absolute power, through world domination. He is a psychopathic dictator and terrorist who seeks to rule the world with an iron fist, while is also being universally regarded as the greatest and most powerful martial artist of all time, and will readily destroy anything or anyone who dares to stand between him and his shady goals. Possessing a vast ego and god complex, however, Bison is physically incapable of feeling empathy for others, and even takes pleasure in watching people suffer at his hands, never feeling a shred of regret or remorse for the numerous atrocities that he has committed. As the founder and leader of Shadaloo, M. Bison uses as many illegal methods as possible to achieve his destructive and barbaric goals, ranging from drug trafficking and arms dealing to terrorism and illegal human experimentation, and mental manipulation as well. As the head of Shadaloo, Bison has 3 of his highest minions that obey his every command. Balrog, the enforcer of Bison, a self-centered, hot-tempered, arrogant, and sadistic boxer, whose insatiable thirst for money and wealth led him to be one of Bison's right-hand men. Vega, Bison's personal assassin. Vega is vain, overconfident, and highly convinced of his own abilities, almost to the point of megalomania. He is also incredibly sadistic and takes great pleasure in seeing the ugly murdered and preferably mutilated. He often has a stone-cold demeanor and does not show a wide range of emotions. His narcissism and disdain for anything lacking elegance causes him to clash with other Shadaloo members, such as Balrog, due to the latter's boorish nature. Sagat, former bodyguard of M. Bison. Sagat encompasses a stereotypical proud fighter personality, since he is very powerful and strong-willed, as well as hard-working. He is dedicated to the martial arts life in both body and spirit. According to various bios, his natural size drove him to become a powerful fighter. Sagat's uncommon physical appearance makes him menacing and downright unfriendly at first glance, which is true to a certain extent. Originally, Sagat was one of Bison's top enforcers, but left and excommunicated himself from Shadaloo and its activities after Bison tried to take advantage of his rivalry with Raul by corrupting the latter with psychopower, which brings us to F.A.N.G. F.A.N.G is incredibly eccentric and flamboyant, his frequent mannerisms usually consisting of odd movement and poses, much to the bemusement of others. Regardless, he is also a cold elitist and acts very condescending towards others, an example being his interactions with his own fellow assassin Vega and boxing enforcer Balrog, both of whom he considers incompetent and foolish. He runs the administrative operations of Shadaloo, second in command. They form what is called the 4 Heavenly Kings inside the Shadaloo Organization. Capcom USA gave them the name Grand Masters in the release of Street Fighter II. The Shadaloo runs with multiple personnel that are in charge of different aspects of the organization. Senoh is one of the top scientists in Shadaloo, responsible for creating and displaying the first batch of new monitor cyborgs. Their mission was to record various fights that happened around the world. This would locate the strongest fighters for M. Bison to turn them into his slaves. They have been around since the first Street Fighter, where a cyborg watched Sagat and Raul battle in the final. Senoh plays a very similar role to Zoltar, Bison's top henchman in Street Fighter II V, since they play almost the same role. The dolls, or M. Bison Elite Guards, are teenage girls of around 16 years old, who were captured by Shadaloo and brainwashed to be M. Bison's assassins and bodyguards, as revealed by the story of the Udon Street Fighter comics. Cammy was a female clone of Bison. However, she was the same age and acted the same way as the others. The dolls are completely loyal to Bison and act and talk similarly to robots. They were high-ranking members in the Shadaloo, only lower than Bison and the other Grand Masters. The most noticeable dolls are Cammy, codename Killer Bee. Cammy White is a perfect clone of Bison's body in a femme fatale way, where she was a soulless doll in constant training, sent only to the deadliest and most difficult of missions. Julie. She was assigned to track down Cammy. She was kidnapped by Shadaloo and brainwashed into an assassin. Junie. She was assigned to track down Ryu. DiCapri. Originally from Russia, DiCapri's appearance resembles Cammy with a black mask. Her face is burned on the left side. Except for Cammy, the dolls' names are based after the months of the year in their home country's language, which are Enero, Fravier, Mars, April, Satsuki, Santamu, Chiayu, Jianyu, and Noemblu. Other members of the Shadaloo are the Shadaloo Soldiers. The low-ranked Shadaloo Soldiers are the lowest soldier class in the Shadaloo, a thankless job given varying tasks. Low-ranked Shadaloo soldiers use a uniform with shoulder armor similar to M. Bison's and a hat. While on duty, low-ranked soldiers are required to put on a helmet for protection, which possesses a psychopower receiver that can temporarily make their body tougher. The mid-ranked Shadaloo soldiers are stronger than the low-ranked soldiers, being promoted after passing a test. They mainly work on base security and often accompany the 4 kings in the operations on foreign countries. The high-ranked Shadaloo soldiers are the elite of the Shadaloo soldiers, very few being able to overcome the challenges required to reach the rank. These red soldiers are able to use psycho power instead of only being strengthened by it, but only when receiving the power from M. Bison. The Bison Troopers or Bison Shock Troops are characters from the 1994 Street Fighter movie. Shadaloo medical soldiers are the medical staff of Shadaloo, working on the medical room on the second floor of the research facility. Although they are doctors who manage the healthcare of other members, they can fight quite well. The Health 3000 is a remotely controlled combat mech developed by Shadaloo. Other important staff are the research team, spy team, mechanic team, public relations, and cafeteria staff. So what did you like about this episode? Don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell to stay up to date on new theories and info. Thank you for watching. This has been your Street Fighter host. Welcome to the center stage. By the way, if you would like to donate or simply get us a coffee, we would like to inform you that sure you can at ko-fi.com/streetfighterverse. We are grateful for every single one of you. You guys make this possible, and for that we thank you. Our new Discord server. There you can talk with us, chat about current events going on in Street Fighter, information, theories, and lore. We'll leave the link in the description box below. We want to thank everyone for tuning in and becoming part of this Street Fighter community. We want to thank you for your positive comments towards our channel, because it only habilitates us to grow even more. From the Street Fighterverse crew, we thank you.